All right. In this video, we are going to quickly create a user interface heads-up display with an energy output, and then we're going to create a pickup item that will deplete as we jump and fill back up as we pick up the items. So let's go into, I made a folder called UI, and we'll just right-click. We'll create a user interface widget blueprint. We'll call this my HUD UI. Let's double click to open that up. And for this example, we'll stay organized. We will create a vertical box and in a horizontal box nested inside that. For this example, we're just going to create one energy bar, but you could make more and just drop them into the vertical box. So anyways, the horizontal box will drop a text. And then next to that, we'll do a progress bar. We'll call the text energy. And then also, I like to have some padding around all of my user interface items so that there's a little consistent gutter. So the progress bar, let's see, we need to have that fill in order to show up. There we go. So now if we did something like health or mana or something like that, we could put additional elements. We could do like a second horizontal bar with more elements going across if we wanted. But for now, that should work. Let's compile. We are going to want to get information from the player character that we're going to set up for this energy component. So let's do that next. We'll go under first person blueprint, blueprints, first person character. Let's create a variable called energy. We'll make that a float. Okay, we've got that. We also need to create the heads up display and add it to our viewport. And we do that by going into the begin play. So let's just drag off here and we'll say create widget. And what widget are we going to create? Well, the HUD UI. We'll also promote that to a variable because it's convenient to be able to call anything from the user interface without having to cast to it. So this is, let's just call this my HUD UI variable. And then we're going to add that to the viewport. There we go. And we need to connect that up to here. Let's call this C and we'll say this UI setup. Great. And let's just put this in order here. So now as we jump, what we're going to do is find jumping around here. There it is. There's jump. Let's make more space. And we'll evaluate if the player can jump. And we'll make that into a Boolean. And then we'll also evaluate based on energy. We'll decrease the energy. So this can jump is going to be a Boolean. And so what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate when the player presses. We'll say if can jump is true, then we'll proceed on to jumping. If it's false, then they can't jump. And we need to set the default of this can jump. So compile, say by default they can jump. And then we're going to say when they press jump, assuming that they can jump, we're going to decrease their energy. So we'll get the energy, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and we'll set the energy. And we'll say energy equals energy minus, so float minus float. We'll just subtract 0.1 every time they jump. So there we go. So we're setting the energy minus to 1. And then we're going to evaluate. We're going to say, okay, is energy greater than or equal to 0? If as long as it's greater than or equal to 0, then they can jump. So we need to set that. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key. But if it's not, if it's I should say if it's just greater than 0, I think that'd be better. Because if it's 0, I don't want them to jump. So if it's less than or equal to 0, then they shouldn't be able to jump. Okay, so now let's connect all this to our HUD UI. So similar to what we did in the with the UI creating a variable, I do the same thing in here with the event construct. I do that with a player character. So I get the player character, and then I also cast to the first person character in the event construct, and I promote that to a variable, because then anytime I want to, anytime I want to call information, I can just drag this variable down, and that makes it a lot easier. So now that I've got that my character variable set up, I can just go in, click this energy bar, go over and find the %, and we'll bind it. We'll create a binding. And so now that energy bar, we're going to use the my character variable, and inside the my character variable, we're going to get the energy, and we'll just pipe that in there. Okay, so now let's just quickly try this out. We hit play. We should see a user interface. Well, we didn't set our energy variable, so let's quickly do that. Our energy, let's set it to 1 to start. So now if we hit play, there we are. And if we jump, it goes down to 0, and then we can't jump anymore. So now let's quickly create a pickup. So that fills our energy back up. So we will go create a blueprint class and actor, energy. We'll call it BP energy. Could call it BP energy pickup. Anyways, we'll put a static mesh in here, and mesh ball. We'll put the sphere. There's a material sphere we can use, and then what are we going to use for a material? Something like the projectile material. That looks like energy. All right, so let's add a collision. So box collision, and we'll make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so then when we run into that in the event graph, we'll say component begin overlap. We will we're gonna first person player again. Cast to the first person character, and we're going to get our energy. Going to get the energy, and we're also going to set the energy. Okay, so we will say energy plus, so float plus float. What are we going to add up to it? Maybe 0.3. Every time we get one of these, we'll increase our energy plus 3. However, after we set our energy, I want to evaluate it. And I'm going to say if it's greater than or equal to 1, then I will say something like max energy. Because we can't really, I don't want it to go beyond 1. So then if max energy is true, so we'll do a Boolean here. So by default, we'll say max energy is false, but if it's greater than or equal to max energy, so there, then we'll just set our, looks like we need to first player character. I think that's what's missing. Let's hook this up right. All right, errors going away. Excellent. So now then if it's equal to our max energy, then we can, if it's true, then we should set our energy just to 1. Okay, great. That way we won't go over 1. And then when we pick that up, we should probably destroy the mesh ball and destroy the collision box. So destroy component. All right, let's give it a try. Let's drag this out. We'll save and drop this into our level a few times. So let's get a little exhausted. Let's pick up an energy ball. Oh, we're full up. And there we go. Wonderful. All right, that really wraps things up. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.